Have we all been looking at the Outlander ending the wrong way? What if Jamie and Claire's story isn't actually over? What if that final breath they took together was never meant to be the end, but the beginning of an entirely new journey? And what if the biggest secret of the entire series has been hiding in plain sight all along? For years, fans have followed Jamie and Claire through wars, heartbreak, sacrifices, and impossible choices. But now, rumors about an Outlander movie are growing louder than ever, and honestly, there may be more reasons to believe it could happen than most people realize. Because when you start connecting the clues left behind in the final season, a completely different picture begins to emerge. One that could change everything we thought we knew about time travel, destiny, and the Fraser family itself. Ever since Outlander came to an end, fans have been asking the same question. Is this really the end of Jamie and Claire Fraser? Or is there still one final chapter waiting to be told? The truth is, the ending left behind more questions than answers. And while some viewers were satisfied with the emotional conclusion, others couldn't stop thinking about all the mysteries that remained unresolved. When Jamie and Claire opened their eyes together in those final moments, the series intentionally refused to explain exactly what had happened. Were they alive? Were they dead? Had they somehow crossed into another reality? Nobody received a clear answer. And perhaps that was the point. The creators wanted fans to continue discussing the story long after the final credits rolled. But here's the interesting part. Open endings usually work best when there aren't many major storylines left hanging. Outlander is different. There are still countless mysteries that deserve answers. In fact, some of the biggest questions in the entire series remain completely unexplained. Take Master Raymond, for example. For years, he has been one of the most mysterious characters in the Outlander universe. We know he possesses abilities that seem far beyond ordinary time travel. We know he understands things that other travelers don't. And we know his connection to Claire runs deeper than most fans realize. But do we truly know who he is? Not really. The show gave us hints, small pieces of information, tiny clues scattered throughout multiple seasons. Yet the complete picture was never revealed. If an Outlander movie were ever made, Master Raymond could easily become the center of the story. After all, many fans believe he knows secrets that could completely change our understanding of how time travel actually works. And speaking of time travel, let's talk about something that has puzzled viewers for years. Can history really be changed? Throughout the series, characters constantly struggled with this question. Sometimes it seemed possible. Other times, it felt as though history always corrected itself, no matter what anyone did. Certain events appeared unavoidable. Certain tragedies seemed destined to happen. But was that truly the case? Or were Jamie and Claire simply unable to see the bigger picture? An Outlander movie could finally answer this question once and for all. Imagine discovering that history isn't fixed at all. Imagine learning that certain people possess the ability to alter events in ways nobody previously understood. Suddenly, every sacrifice, every decision, and every heartbreaking loss would take on an entirely new meaning. And then there's another mystery that fans rarely talk about enough: Claire's abilities. Over the years, we've seen numerous hints that Claire is far more powerful than she realizes. Her healing gifts have continued to evolve. Her connection to mysterious energies has grown stronger, and several moments throughout the series suggested that she may possess abilities unlike any other time traveler. Remember those strange experiences involving blue light? Remember the moments that seemed almost supernatural? The story repeatedly hinted that Claire's journey was about more than simply traveling through time. What if the movie finally explored the true extent of those powers? What if Claire's role in this universe is much bigger than anyone imagined? Honestly, when you start looking back at previous seasons, there are clues everywhere. Small details that seemed insignificant at first suddenly become much more important. And that's exactly why many fans believe the story was always building towards something larger. But perhaps the biggest reason an Outlander movie feels necessary isn't because of unanswered mysteries. It's because of the characters themselves. Jamie and Claire have spent decades fighting to stay together. They survived wars, separations, betrayals, and impossible odds. Their relationship became the emotional heart of the entire franchise. Viewers didn't just watch their story, they lived it alongside them. That's why so many fans aren't ready to say goodbye. After following these characters for so many years, it feels natural to want one final adventure, one last journey, one last opportunity to explore corners of this universe that the series never had enough time to fully examine. And if the rumors about an Outlander movie eventually become reality, there's one thing the story absolutely cannot do. It cannot simply repeat what we've already seen. The movie would need to raise the stakes higher than ever before. It would need to introduce revelations powerful enough to justify bringing Jamie and Claire back for one final chapter. Because if they're returning, it has to matter. It has to change everything. And the more you examine the clues left behind throughout the series, the more it starts to feel like that exact setup may already exist. Because there is one forgotten mystery connected to the Fraser family that could unlock secrets stretching across generations. A mystery that might finally explain why certain people can travel through time while others cannot. And if that theory turns out to be true, then Jamie and Claire's greatest challenge may still be waiting for them. Now, let's talk about the mystery that could become the foundation of an entire Outlander movie. Because if there is one question fans have been asking for years, it is this. Why are certain people able to travel through time while others can't? At first, the answer seemed simple. Some people are born with the gift, and some aren't. But the deeper the story went, the more complicated things became. We discovered entire family bloodlines connected to time travel. We learned that different travelers experienced the stones differently. Some heard buzzing, some felt pain, others couldn't hear anything at all. And that's where things start to get really interesting. Because what if time travel was never just a gift? What if it was actually a responsibility? Think about it. Throughout the series, the people capable of traveling through time always seemed connected to major historical events. They weren't randomly jumping through centuries. Somehow, they always found themselves exactly where they needed to be. Claire arrives in the past and meets Jamie. Brianna travels back and becomes part of the Fraser legacy. Roger follows her and discovers truths about his own family history. Even smaller time travel storylines often felt guided by something bigger. Coincidence? Maybe. But after 8 seasons, it's becoming harder and harder to believe that everything happened by accident. What if there has always been a hidden force guiding these travelers? What if someone, or something, has been shaping events from the very beginning? An Outlander movie could finally pull back the curtain and reveal the truth. Imagine Claire discovering ancient information left behind by previous travelers. Information hidden for centuries. Secrets explaining how the stones were created and why certain bloodlines carry this extraordinary ability. Suddenly, the entire franchise would become bigger than Jamie and Claire's love story. It would become the story of generations, the story of families connected across centuries, the story of people chosen to protect the timeline itself. And honestly, there may already be clues pointing in that direction. One detail that many fans keep returning to is Claire's growing power. When we first met her, she was a nurse simply trying to understand an impossible situation. She had no idea why she traveled through the stones. She barely understood what was happening around her. But by the final season, Claire was completely different. She had experienced things that should have been impossible. She had survived situations that seemed beyond explanation. And perhaps most importantly, she had developed abilities that felt increasingly supernatural. The show never fully explained those changes. In fact, the closer we got to the ending, the more mysterious Claire became. It's almost as if the writers wanted viewers to keep asking questions. Because what if Claire hasn't reached the limits of her abilities yet? What if she has only scratched the surface? That possibility becomes even more fascinating when you consider Jamie. For years, Jamie existed as the one major character unable to travel through time. He remained anchored to his own century, while Claire carried the burden of living between two worlds. But what if that changes? Fans have debated this theory endlessly. Could Jamie eventually become a traveler himself? At first, the idea sounds impossible. After all, the series established clear rules regarding who could travel and who couldn't. But Outlander has always enjoyed surprising its audience. And if there's one thing we've learned over the years, it's that the rules are never quite as simple as they seem. Imagine Jamie suddenly discovering he possesses an ability nobody expected. Imagine him standing before the stones and hearing the same buzzing sound Claire heard all those years ago. Can you imagine that moment? After decades of watching Claire navigate different centuries, Jamie would finally understand exactly what she experienced. He would see the modern world with his own eyes. He would witness everything Claire left behind. And perhaps most importantly, he would finally have the chance to explore the future. Just think about the emotional possibilities. Jamie seeing airplanes. Jamie seeing cities filled with lights. Jamie learning how history remembers him. The emotional impact alone would be worth watching. But the story could go even further. Because if Jamie gained the ability to travel, then suddenly nothing would be impossible anymore. The Fraser family could reunite across different generations, long-lost relatives could return, questions buried in the past could finally receive answers. And that's where another fascinating theory enters the conversation. What if the movie isn't really about the future at all? What if it's about the past? Over the years, Claire occasionally spoke about her parents. Not constantly, not enough to make it obvious, but enough for viewers to notice, especially during the final seasons. The topic seemed to appear more often than before, almost as if the story was quietly reminding us that Claire's parents remain one of the biggest unanswered mysteries in the franchise. We know very little about them. We know they died when Claire was young. We know their absence shaped her entire life. But beyond that, the story remains surprisingly silent. And whenever a long-running series avoids discussing something important, fans immediately start paying attention. Could there be more to their story? Many viewers believe so. Some even suspect Claire's parents may have had connections to time travel themselves. If that's true, then an Outlander movie could finally reveal information that changes everything we know about Claire's origins. Imagine Claire discovering hidden truths about her family. Imagine finding out her entire journey was connected to events set in motion long before she was born. And if that happened, the emotional consequences would be enormous, because suddenly, Claire wouldn't just be learning about history, she would be learning about herself. And that discovery could lead her toward a revelation so shocking that it changes the Fraser family's destiny forever. But believe it or not, there is another storyline that may be even more emotional than that. And it involves a character whose story never truly received the ending many fans were hoping for. Now, let's talk about the storyline that many fans believe still deserves a proper conclusion. Because no matter how many mysteries Outlander solved over the years, there is one emotional wound that never fully healed. And that wound is Faith. For longtime viewers, simply hearing that name is enough to bring back memories of one of the most heartbreaking chapters in the entire series. Claire and Jamie endured countless tragedies throughout their journey, but losing Faith was different. It wasn't just another obstacle. It was a loss that followed them for years. Even when they moved forward, even when life forced them to continue, the pain never completely disappeared. That is why so many fans became fascinated by the theories that emerged during the later seasons. Because suddenly, the impossible no longer seemed impossible. The Outlander universe had already shown us time travel, mysterious powers, prophetic visions, and events that defied ordinary logic. So naturally, viewers started asking a question that once would have sounded ridiculous. What if Faith's story wasn't truly over? At first, most people dismissed the idea. After all, some losses are meant to remain permanent. Some tragedies define the characters and help shape their journey. But then the series continued dropping hints. Small moments, tiny details, strange connections that seemed too intentional to ignore. And before long, theories began spreading throughout the fandom. The biggest clue came through Fanny. Her storyline immediately caught viewers' attention because there always seemed to be something special about her. Something unexplained, something waiting beneath the surface. Then came the moment near the stones, the buzzing sound. That single moment changed everything, because fans instantly recognized what it could mean. The ability to hear the stones has never been random. Throughout the series, it has consistently been connected to people who possess the gift of time travel or share some deeper connection to that mysterious world. So, when Fanny experienced it, viewers immediately started asking questions Questions the show never fully answered. Why was she hearing it? What did it mean? And perhaps most importantly, why introduce such a significant clue if there was no intention of exploring it further? This is exactly why an Outlander movie could become the perfect opportunity to continue that story. Imagine Claire realizing that Fanny's abilities are growing stronger. Imagine discovering that she possesses gifts nobody expected. And imagine those abilities leading everyone toward a truth hidden for generations. The emotional possibilities are endless. Because if Fanny truly holds the key to an unfinished mystery, then Jamie and Claire would once again find themselves at the center of something extraordinary. And honestly, wouldn't that feel perfectly fitting? Their entire lives have been defined by impossible events. Every time they believed their story was settling down, destiny pulled them toward another challenge. So why would the final chapter be any different? But here's where things become even more interesting. What if the movie isn't just about solving mysteries? What if it's about giving characters the closure they've spent years searching for? Think about everything Jamie and Claire have sacrificed. They sacrificed time. They sacrificed safety. They sacrificed opportunities to remain with the people they loved. Again and again, they chose each other, even when the cost seemed unbearable. That devotion became the heart of Outlander. It is the reason millions of viewers remained invested for so many years, because beneath all the history, all the battles, and all the time travel mysteries, Outlander has always been a story about love, a love powerful enough to survive centuries, a love capable of overcoming impossible odds, a love that refuses to disappear. And if an Outlander movie truly happens, that theme would need to remain at the center of everything. No matter how many mysteries are revealed, no matter how many secrets come to light, the emotional core must always come back to Jamie and Claire. That is what fans care about most. That is what made the franchise special in the first place. But there may be one final challenge capable of testing that bond more than anything they've faced before. Imagine discovering that time itself is beginning to break apart. Imagine travelers becoming trapped between centuries. Imagine historical events starting to shift in dangerous and unpredictable ways. Suddenly, the Fraser family wouldn't just be fighting for themselves. They would be fighting for everyone: the past, the present, and the future. Now, does that sound ambitious? Absolutely. But if a movie is going to bring back beloved characters after the ending of the series, it needs stakes worthy of their return. The story needs to feel bigger. The consequences need to feel larger. And the emotional payoff needs to justify the journey. Because fans don't simply want more Outlander. They want a story that matters. A story that expands the mythology while honoring everything that came before. And there is one particular mystery that could accomplish exactly that. A mystery connected to Jamie himself. For years, viewers have wondered whether there is something unusual about Jamie Fraser. Something beyond his courage, beyond his loyalty, beyond his legendary connection with Claire. There have been moments throughout the series that seem to hint at something more. Small moments, easy-to-miss moments. Moments that become much more intriguing when viewed through the lens of everything we now know. Could Jamie's destiny be larger than anyone realized? Could there be a reason fate repeatedly placed him at the center of history-changing events? And if there is, then the answer might completely transform everything we thought we understood about the Fraser family. Because the truth behind Jamie's role in this story may be connected to a secret that stretches across centuries. And once it is revealed, nothing will ever be the same again.